Because I slapped IVGU, my husband of 10 years sent me to the security department for confinement. I wasn't released until a week later. During this time, the promotion opportunity that should have been mine was given to IVGU by my husband as an apology. Furious, I confronted him, but he frowned and coldly snapped, "If it weren't for you going to Ivy's workplace to slander our relationship, she wouldn't have lost her job. Not to mention you slapped Ivy. You should have apologized in the first place." I nodded calmly. "So you're saying that, as the lawful wife, I should not only beat up the mistress but also give up my secure job to apologize to her. Is that right?" IVGU, holding her child, plopped down to her knees before me with a thud. "Big brother GU and I are completely innocent. Saying such things is forcing me to die." I responded indifferently. "Then go ahead and die." The surroundings fell into complete silence. The crowd of onlookers and staff at the department store entrance all stopped in their tracks. Hearing me say that IVGU should die, they showed disapproving expressions. Poor Ivy just got married and lost her husband. That's tragic enough. Theo GU was only looking after his comrade's widow, yet his own wife accused him of having an affair. IVGU has always been timid and well-behaved. How could she possibly be a homewrecker? Myra Lynn originally got drunk to take advantage of Theo GU and marry him by chance. Unable to secure her husband's heart, she became overly wary of other women. Listening to the words of those around me, my gaze gradually turned icy. IVGU hid behind Theo GU, speaking in a feigned tone. "It's all my fault. Even if you spread rumors about me and brother GU, even if you hit me without distinguishing right from wrong, I shouldn't have gone to the department store for an interview, otherwise. The department store wouldn't have discovered your laziness at work. I'm willing to give up my job to you, as long as you don't doubt me and brother GU in the future." With these words, IVGU shed a tear of helplessness and grievance. The sympathetic gazes around grew even more intense. Accompanied by hushed whispers, Myra Lynn dares to slack off even after entering a state-owned unit. How audacious! It's only because she has parents who sacrificed their lives for the country. Otherwise, how could such a good job possibly fall to her? TSK, you can't polish a turd, even a good job handed to them can't be kept. Theo GU's gaze was fierce, as if he wanted to skin me alive. His tone was icy. "Go home now, and stop making a scene." I took a deep breath and looked coldly at IVGU. When have I ever slacked off at work? In my previous life, I had just finished my confinement and went straight to the department store to ask the team leader for an explanation. Unexpectedly, the team leader tipped off Theo GU. Theo GU abused his managerial authority to have me confined in the security department once again. During this period, IVGU spread rumors that I had stolen from the department store, tarnishing my reputation. As a result, after my release, I could no longer find work and was reduced to being seen as a thieving madwoman in the eyes of society. And my own husband, far from defending me, was seen going everywhere with IVGU day after day. Can't find a job, can't earn money, and can't get food stamps. I starved to death in the cramped old house. After my death, Theo GU just coldly ordered someone to collect my body, and under the guise of an apology, gave everything my parents left to IVGU. I wish I could tear that despicable couple to pieces. But when I lunged at them, I couldn't touch anything, until a flash of white light appeared, and suddenly I was back on the day I was first sent to confinement. I no longer foolishly went to the department store to look for the team leader. Instead, during the busiest morning rush, I cornered that despicable couple at the entrance. I stared at IVGU and questioned her again. "You only started working at the department store a week ago." Yet a week ago, I was falsely accused by my own husband and sent to the security office for confinement. How could you possibly know whether I was slacking off at work? Moreover, I've been repeatedly recognized as an outstanding employee. How could I possibly be slacking off? IVGU avoided eye contact, glancing at Theo GU several times. I sneered coldly. "Could it be that Theo GU told you?" Theo GU immediately shielded IVGU behind him. "I was the one who told her. There's no need to give her a hard time." I stared at this despicable couple before me, pinched my thigh hard, and turned to the crowd with tears streaming down my face. "Did you all see that? They keep insisting they have no relationship, that everything is pure and innocent. But now my husband is protecting this homewrecker and even telling her about my personal matters. Would your husbands ever do such a thing? A few married women in the crowd showed subtle changes in their expressions as they looked at them. Ivy Gu immediately pretended to be angry. Brother Gu, you really shouldn't. Sister Lin is your wife. You should be protecting her. My husband's dying wish for you doesn't count for anything at all. I understand you don't like Sister Lin's lazy, jealous nature, and it's only natural to vent to me. But after all, it's her you'll be spending your life with. From now on, let's not see each other anymore. Ivy Gu's tears kept flowing. Yet she still maintained a look of unwavering loyalty. I sneered inwardly. Her acting and reactions were on par with a secret agent. No wonder she could string along so many men. According to Ivy Gu's script, I was supposed to angrily rush at her and start pulling and hitting her, just like before. This way, she could justifiably slander me as an emotionally unstable, jealous woman. Yet I remained calm, watching them with an indifferent expression, speaking in a steady tone. I don't care if you'll see each other again in the future, but return the 800 yuan in cash and the rice and flour ration coupons to me. Ivy Gu's face stiffened. What 800 yuan? What rice and flour ration coupons? I don't know what you're talking about. I pulled out dozens of receipts and an IOU directly from my pocket. After marrying Theo Gu, we saved 2,000 yuan together. My share was 800, plus all the monthly grain and food ration coupons, and it's all gone. Don't you dare say you didn't take it. Every single receipt was signed by Theo Gu. The IOU was also something Ivy Gu pretended she couldn't accept Theo Gu's money for free and wrote it as a formality. Not a single one of these things he bought ended up in my hands. Instead, they're all in your home. I grabbed Ivy Gu's wrist in one swift motion. That women's watch on your wrist happens to be exactly the same model as the one Theo Gu bought. Shall we compare the style and serial number with the receipts in my hand, at this moment? The onlookers were completely shocked. Ivy Gu claimed this watch was a betrothal gift from her deceased husband, so how did it end up being from Theo Gu? Myra Lin has already presented evidence. What more is there to say? Helping out with some rice or flour is one thing, but gifting something as valuable as a watch, there's definitely something fishy going on. Didn't you hear Myra Lin say her 800 yuan was lent out without her knowledge? What more is there to say? Ivy Gu kept her head down, not daring to argue at all. Theo Gu furrowed his brows and whispered helplessly in my ear, "What are you throwing a tantrum for? Haven't you calmed down after a week of confinement? If you keep this up, aren't you afraid you'll push Ivy to her death?" I gazed coldly at the man before me. In my past life, I always believed Theo Gu was merely deceived by Ivy Gu, constantly hoping for his return to our family. But after dying once, I realized Theo Gu knew everything all along. He reveled in Ivy Gu's gentle affection and cunning, and equally favored her charm and beauty, and I am just the wife he married because his parents pressured him to. Back then, when my parents died in the line of duty, I could have gone to live with their comrades in the compound. Theo Gu's parents also repeatedly promised to treat me as their own daughter and said they would have Theo Gu marry me. Theo Gu was standing right there at the time. If he hadn't been willing, I turned and walked away. Yet not only did he not refuse, he even smiled and looked at me. From that moment on, I always thought we were mutually in love, it's just that he was naturally aloof. So his attitude toward me was never particularly warm. Thinking of the past, I couldn't help but sneer with self-mockery. Theo Gu's parents only cared about the reputation of raising an orphan of a martyr and the substantial pension. Not out of genuine sympathy for my loss, Theo Gu himself never truly cared for me. Hence his constant indifference, yet he couldn't let go of the benefits I brought, forcing him to marry me reluctantly. I looked at Theo Gu with a cold smile. "Let's get a divorce." Theo Gu's face darkened. "What nonsense are you talking about? The words and evidence I just presented are enough to prove that the relationship between Ivy Gu and Theo Gu is unusual, now that I've openly mentioned divorce. Everyone should understand the situation clearly. Myra Lin liked Theo Gu so much. If he and Ivy Gu hadn't gone too far, she wouldn't have brought up divorce. Right, who in their right mind would choose divorce over a good life? It must be Theo Gu who did something to wrong Myra Lin. Theo Gu's chest heaved with anger. "How long are you going to keep this nonsense up? As the manager of the department store, I already made an exception by letting someone like you intern there. But not only did you slack off, you also stole company property. IVGU got the job through her own successful interview and didn't steal your opportunity at all. Yet you couldn't stand her, spreading rumors multiple times, and today you even pulled this stunt. Theo GU took out a box from his pocket. You claimed the watch IVGU wears was a gift from me. Then where did this one come from? I looked closely and saw that Theo GU was holding an identical watch to the one on IVGU's wrist. IVGU finally broke down in tears. The watch on my wrist was a gift from my late husband. Brother GU said you constantly ask for presents, so he bought an identical one just to please you. I never expected you would use this watch to slander me and Brother GU. Reputation is so important to a woman. You're a woman too, why must you make things so difficult for me? With just a few words, they turned the situation around. Theo GU even glared at me with disgust and said, I always knew you had a vicious and ruthless nature, but I never imagined you'd be cruel enough to try to drive Comrade IVGU to her death. I was so angry I laughed. The watch on IVGU's wrist was one I saw Theo GU put on her with my own eyes in my past life. I don't know why Theo GU bought two identical watches, but I know for sure neither was meant for me. I didn't let him lead me astray. I confronted him with clear, logical questions. You can make excuses about the watch. But what about this IOU? I held up the IOU in front of everyone, which stated that IVGU had borrowed 2,000. Nowadays, everyone's monthly salary is just over 10 yuan. Who would lend out so much money without blinking an eye? 800 of those 2,000 yuan came from my personal salary. You must return it to me immediately. IVGU's face turned red with anger. How could I possibly come up with so much money all at once? I sneered. You can't come up with so much money all at once, but you sure can spend it all at once, Tilda. Theo GU grabbed my hand with a cold expression, trying to pull me away. This money was lent to Comrade IVGU. Her son is sick and needs surgery. Stop making unreasonable demands. I bit down hard on Theo GU's wrist, and he flung me away in pain. Heavens! My husband is cheating and even gave my hard-earned 800 bucks to his mistress. He's trying to drive me to my death. IVGU stared at me dumbfounded, never expecting me to start shouting shamelessly like this. Her face flushed red. Myra Lynn, don't talk nonsense. There's no way to deal with such people with civility. You have to tear off all pretenses and bring everything to a head. I collapsed onto the ground, wailing, give me back my money, give me back my money. Theo GU gritted his teeth, his voice hoarse. What kind of spectacle is this? Sitting on the ground and screaming like a madman. Get up this instant. I'll go home and get you the 800 bucks in a bit. IVGU gave me a challenging look, then turned to Theo GU with a pained expression and said, Brother GU, where are you going to get 800 bucks? Maybe I should just go to the hospital and get a refund, even if Xiaobao dies. It's because I'm useless. It has nothing to do with any of you. Theo GU looked at IVGU with heartache, the two of them resembling a pair of star-crossed lovers. But I knew all too well that once I went back with Theo GU, not only would I not get the money, but I might also be sent to confinement for a second time. So I fixed Theo GU with a cold stare. Give me the money now. Theo GU looked at me in disbelief. How could I possibly come up with 800 bucks right now? I sneered. I'll count to 3 one last time. Give me back my money. 1. Theo GU, what the hell is wrong with you? 2. Theo GU wanted to step forward to grab me, but I dodged directly. 3. Theo GU didn't take it seriously. Alright, I promise you, the money will definitely be given to you. Can you stop making a scene? I suddenly rushed out of the crowd and ran a few steps into the department store. Theo GU and IVGU thought I was going to complain to the management and cause trouble, so they hurriedly followed me inside. Not only that, but the onlookers also curiously followed along. But I didn't stop at all, just kept charging upstairs. Theo GU finally realized something and reached out to grab me, but couldn't catch me at all. I ran all the way to the top floor in one breath, climbed over the railing, and stood on the edge, swaying dangerously in the wind. Don't come any closer. Everyone was too terrified to even breathe heavily, all trying to dissuade me in unison. No matter what's going on, come down first. Don't be foolish. If you accidentally fall, you'll lose everything. They've driven someone to the point of jumping off a building. IVGU and TheoGU must be involved. If they weren't involved, why would TheoGU be willing to spend so much money on her? IVGU's face turned deathly pale. Whether I jumped today or not, with this commotion I caused, she'll never be able to clear her name of being the other woman in the future. TheoGU also realized this and shouted at me urgently. I'll go get an advance on my salary from accounting right now. Just come down first. He wanted to step forward to grab me, so I immediately roared and released one hand from the railing. Don't come any closer. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed that an air cushion had already been set up downstairs. So I leaned out a bit further, making it look like I was about to fall at any moment. IVGU's legs went weak, and she wanted to run away. As long as she's not at the scene today, she can lie later and say this matter has nothing to do with her, but how could I let her have her way? IVGU, give me back my hard-earned money. Seeing IVGU trying to flee, someone immediately grabbed hold of her. Myra Lynn is about to jump off the building. Hurry up and give her money back. IVGU was on the verge of tears. The money had long been spent by her, and she simply couldn't come up with it. TheoGU frantically borrowed money from everyone, but after scrambling together, only 352 yuan was collected. Come down first. I'll go to the finance department to get an advance on my salary for the rest later. I let out an "oh," then stretched out another foot. TheoGU's face turned pale with fear. I'm going right now. Don't move. He turned and ran downstairs, returning within 5 minutes, panting as he handed me a fistful of cash. Can you come down now? I tilted my head and smiled at him. No. You must clarify to everyone that I didn't slack off or steal anything from the department store, and you have to explain exactly how IVGU got her promotion. TheoGU glared. Don't push your luck. A sharp flick landed on the back of TheoGU's head. Are you trying to drive Myra Lynn to her death? Spit it out now. TheoGU's imposing demeanor instantly deflated. Boss, what brings you here? If I hadn't come, your wife would have jumped off my department store building. Are you trying to bankrupt me and shut down my business? IVGU's legs went weak as she tried to hide behind the crowd, but I was quick to spot and speak up. IVGU, where do you think you're running off to? A concerned bystander grabbed IVGU. This isn't over yet. You'd better go and comfort Comrade Myra Lynn down from there right now. The boss also squinted at IVGU, pondering for a moment. Weren't you the employee who joined just a week ago? Didn't you say the full-time position was voluntarily given to you by Myra Lynn, and that you two were good friends? If you were good friends, why would Myra Lynn threaten to jump off a building? IVGU turned pale and couldn't say a word. TheoGU was the first to speak. Myra Lynn is my wife. She suspected me and Comrade IVGU, so she went to Comrade IVGU's workplace without any reason, causing Comrade IVGU to lose her job as the husband of Myra Lynn. I voluntarily relinquished Myra Lynn's regularization quota to Comrade IVGU. IVGU gazed affectionately at TheoGU, her eyes brimming with vulnerability. I watched this scene coldly, never expecting things to come to this. TheoGU actually dared to spout such nonsense. In that case, I don't need to spare their dignity either. You're lying. It was clearly you who were caught in the act of adultery. I was so angry I slapped IVGU, but you locked me up without even hearing my side. And during that time, you pulled strings behind the scenes to give my promotion spot to IVGU, who gave you the right to decide for me. I grew more agitated as I spoke, even pretending I was about to jump off the building immediately. The boss immediately panicked. The department store had just opened 6 months ago. If a suicide incident were to occur, business would inevitably be affected. Don't jump. I'll give you another spot. I shook my head at the boss. I just want the justice that belongs to me. IVGU took what was mine through underhanded means. She must return it. I kept calling her a homewrecker and accusing her of using dirty tricks. Both IVGU and TheoGU wished they could disappear into the ground, but I didn't give them the chance. I immediately pulled out the heirloom my parents left for me from my pocket. This is the medal left by my parents who sacrificed their lives for the country. Back then, the organization took pity on me, fearing I couldn't survive alone, so they left this as a token, promising to arrange a job for me when I grew up. But the job my parents exchanged with their lives was effortlessly given to someone else. I want to ask, who on earth had the audacity to do this? Who was the one who nodded in agreement? A middle-aged man in a Zhongshan suit. holding a notebook, pushed through the crowd and looked at me with a serious expression, asking, "Are you Myra Lin, the daughter of Lin Ruhai and his wife?" The boss widened his eyes at the newcomer. "You, how could you suddenly come here?" IVGU looked at Theo Gu in confusion, only to find his face deathly pale, as if all the blood in his body had been drained in an instant. I secretly curled the corners of my lips. The person I'd been waiting for had finally arrived. Tears welled up in my eyes as I stared at the newcomer in disbelief. "Uncle Ju, why are you here, in my past life?" It was precisely because the organization would send someone for an undercover inspection today. That's why the team leader would immediately notify Theo Gu to take me back and put me in confinement. This time, I made them face the situation they least wanted to confront, without waiting for Uncle Ju to speak. I continued, "Back then, you came with my parents' dying words, urging me to live well. I'm afraid I'm going to break that promise now. My husband, for the sake of his late brother's widow, not only gave up the job my parents secured for me with their lives but also had me locked up in the security office. Even if I don't jump today, I won't be able to avoid gossip in the future." Theo Gu grew anxious. "What nonsense are you talking about? It's not at all what you said. Don't slander comrade IVGU so casually." IVGU also anxiously defended herself. "It's because you caused me to lose my job that Brother Gu gave you the chance to become a full-time employee to compensate me. Unlike before, I didn't shout or scream, I just silently looked at Uncle Ju with tears streaming down my face. You see, this is my husband. This is what he's done." I pointed to the scattered 800 yuan on the ground and said, "These 800 yuan were given to me by my husband. Because he gave the entire family savings of 2,000 yuan to IVGU without my consent as his wife. That's a full 2,000 yuan, and it even included my 800 yuan. I roared with all my might, as if venting the grievances of my past life. Theo Gu let out a long sigh and said, "Didn't I return the 800 yuan that belonged to you? What more do you want?" I stared coldly at Theo Gu. IVGU took my money. I asked her to return it. "What right do you have to give it to me on her behalf?" Upon hearing this, Uncle Ju scrutinized Theo Gu with a piercing gaze. "Your money is considered marital joint property. Comrade IVGU took Comrade Myra Lin's money, so she should be the one to repay it. What right do you have to repay it on her behalf?" The onlookers whispered among themselves. Explaining, "It seems Theo Gu had an affair, which is why he's willing to pay for her. Otherwise, why would he spend money on a widow again and again?" Theo Gu clearly has his eyes on IVGU. Even if Myra Lin doesn't dress as well as IVGU or isn't as good looking as IVGU, Theo Gu still shouldn't cheat. I felt no emotion in my heart, but on the surface, I pretended to be utterly disappointed. I gave Theo Gu a deep look. "It's you who wronged me, not me who wronged you." After saying these words, I immediately let go of my hands and fell backward. "No, Myra Lin." The boss turned pale as he looked beyond the railing where no one was left. "It's over, it's over, it's over, it's over. Why did this have to happen right when the inspectors were here? Now someone's life has been lost." Theo Gu stared in disbelief at the direction I had jumped, his legs even going weak. IVGU was completely terrified as well. From now on, she would forever bear the guilt of driving me to jump off the building. A loud bang. No one dared to look down. I landed steadily on the mat, completely unharmed. But I didn't put on this act just for that, so I didn't even open my eyes. Directly pretending to faint dead away, police and rescue personnel rushed forward in a flurry, hastily sending me to the hospital. I heard everyone blaming Theo Gu and IVGU, and also heard Uncle Ju demanding a thorough investigation. By the time I slowly opened my eyes, Theo Gu stood by my hospital bed, his face filled with remorse. "I never expected you would jump off a building for me. Thankfully, you didn't die, as long as you're willing to behave. I'll cut off all contact with IVGU from now on. She's already been made a full-time employee and earns a stable salary every month. She doesn't need my support anymore." I felt disgusted inside, but on the surface, I pretended to be heartbroken. "Go away, I don't want to see you." Theo Gu grabbed my hand. "I know you caused a scene at the department store because you were jealous. Thankfully, you're okay. The boss said he won't hold you accountable for the disturbance. As long as you behave yourself from now on, we can still live together." Wishful thinking. Uncle Ju pushed the door open and walked straight in. I've investigated everything clearly. You and that IVGU have been carrying on an improper relationship ever since her husband died. Not only have you frequently stayed away from home, but you've also been using the grain coupons and wages that rightfully belong to Comrade Myra Lynn to support IVGU, utterly disgraceful. Uncle Ju and his wife had been devoted to each other their entire lives, and he despised those who couldn't remain faithful. Moreover, he and my parents are old acquaintances, so he would never stand by and watch me get bullied. With tears streaming down my face, I looked at Uncle Ju. Uncle Ju, I want to divorce Theo Gu. Can you help me? Before Theo Gu could say a word, the hospital room door was suddenly flung open. Father-in-law and mother-in-law shouted loudly, "You can't get divorced. You must not divorce." Mother-in-law even slapped Theo Gu across the face. "Such a wonderful daughter-in-law, and you don't cherish her. Are you out of your mind?" Father-in-law kicked Theo Gu in the back of the knee, forcing him to kneel before me. "Apologize to your wife now. Promise to treat her well from now on." Their coordinated act might make outsiders think they truly adore me as their daughter-in-law. But only I know the truth. They're just afraid I'll divorce Theo Gu and demand my parents' compensation money. 20,000 yuan is an astronomical sum in this era. A hint of humiliation flashed in Theo Gu's eyes, but he still knelt by my hospital bed to apologize. "Everything that happened before was my fault. I shouldn't have taken things from our home to help IVGU without your permission. But I swear to you, there was never anything inappropriate between me and IVGU. From beginning to end, you're the only woman I've ever had. If it were in my past life, hearing these words would have made me ecstatic beyond measure. But now, I've long understood, even if Theo Gu didn't do anything with IVGU, it was still infidelity. He gave the job that rightfully belonged to me to IVGU, give my salary to IVGU as well, not to mention sending me to the security department for confinement because of IVGU. Let alone the countless times I've been wronged and mistreated for her sake. Uncle Ju wasn't fooled by Theo Gu's words. Instead, he looked at me with a serious expression and said, "What do you think? If you want to go back with Theo Gu, I'll make him write a guarantee. If he ever wrongs you in the future, he'll be punished for hooliganism. In this era, committing adultery can land you in jail." With tears in my eyes, I looked at Uncle Ju. "Uncle Ju, I still want a divorce." Theo Gu froze stiffly on the spot, his lips parting in disbelief. "Myra, stop fooling around. You love me so much. How could you genuinely want a divorce? You're only threatening to jump because you're upset about me and Comrade IVGU. Don't say things in anger." My parents-in-law immediately stepped forward to persuade me. A day as husband and wife brings 100 days of affection. Who talks about divorce at the drop of a hat? Besides, didn't Theo explain to you that he has no relationship with that widow at all? He only took care of her out of pity. As Theo's wife, you should trust him. Moreover, it's not entirely Theo's fault. If you hadn't such a bad temper, why would Theo prefer staying outside rather than coming home? Mother-in-law grumbled in complaint. Mr. Ju's expression immediately darkened upon hearing this. "Are you suggesting that your son's inappropriate relationship with another woman is somehow Comrade Myra Lynn's fault?" I wasn't the least bit surprised that my mother-in-law would say such things, because in my past life, she often said similar things to me, even claiming it was my fault if I couldn't control my own husband. She often belittles me, saying I'm just an orphan who doesn't deserve her son at all. In my past life, her words made me extremely insecure, constantly doubting myself. I even thought it was because I wasn't good enough, which is why Theo Gu went to IVGU. Now I finally understand. The one with real issues was clearly Theo Gu. As a married man, he shouldn't have crossed boundaries by helping another woman. He has even less right to use my things to curry favor with IVGU. Seeing Mr. Ju's anger, Theo Gu visibly panicked. "My mother is just a country woman with little knowledge. She misspoke. Please don't take it to heart, Mr. Ju." Mr. Ju scoffed. "A crooked stick will have a crooked shadow. Your actions truly reflect the upbringing your parents gave you." I couldn't help but silently applaud in my heart. Indeed, Mr. Ju lived up to being a scholar. His insults didn't contain a single vulgar word. Thinking Mr. Ju was complimenting them, my in-laws immediately smiled and said, We care deeply about our child's education and have always been strict with Theo since he was little, as we should be. Theo Gu glared at his mother-in-law with a dark expression. Enough, stop talking. The mother-in-law looked at me smugly. I'll teach you how to please your husband later. Even Mr. Ju praised my parenting skills. Uncle Ju was immediately speechless and directly called for someone. Please show them out. Mother-in-law couldn't understand why Uncle Ju suddenly changed his expression and anxiously tried to step forward to grab his hand, but Uncle Ju directly took a step back to avoid her and looked sternly at Theo Gu, saying, I will file a report for Comrade Myra Lin regarding the divorce, and I will truthfully document your personal conduct issues. Theo Gu's face turned pale, wanting to explain but was led out of the ward. The parents-in-law finally realized they had angered Mr. Ju and anxiously asked Theo Gu, what should we do now? Before Theo Gu could say anything, Ivy Gu, her face streaked with tears, rushed to them holding the child. Brother Gu. The child has been vomiting constantly since being discharged from the hospital. Can you help me? For the first time, Theo Gu showed a look of impatience. Isn't this a hospital? Why don't you just take the child to register? Ivy Gu burst into tears, sobbing uncontrollably. I got fired. The department store manager said the full-time position wasn't for me. I've only worked there for a week, and now I only have 2.8 yuan left on me. Please help me one more time. She looked pitifully at Theo Gu, hoping he would soften his heart again. But before Theo Gu could speak, her mother-in-law slapped her across the face. I was wondering why my good daughter-in-law suddenly wanted a divorce. Turns out it's you homewrecker, seducing my son. After a dozen slaps, Ivy Gu was beaten to a pulp. Theo Gu pretended to intervene but quickly stepped aside when he couldn't stop it, listening to the noisy quarrel outside the door. Uncle Ju and I both showed signs of impatience. The department store manager came directly to my hospital room with a termination letter and fired Theo Gu in front of Uncle Ju. This time, Theo Gu was completely panicked, but Uncle Ju directly had someone escort them further away. I looked at Uncle Ju with gratitude. Thank you for doing all this for me. Uncle Ju shook his head. It's not for you, but for everyone. The department store is a state-owned enterprise. Theo Gu and Ivy Gu's personal conduct doesn't meet the hiring criteria, so their dismissal is justified. Focus on recovering your health first. Once you're better, you can return to work. The divorce will be settled within a week at most. After that, you can move back into your parents' old house. I looked despondently at Uncle Ju. I'm afraid I can't go back. Uncle Ju looked surprised. What? I said in a pitiful tone. Back then, I was too young. My in-laws offered to manage my parents' compensation and the house for me, so none of those things are in my hands now. Uncle Ju frowned, took a deep breath, and then spoke. Those were left to you by your parents. What right do they have to take them? Besides, you're getting divorced now. It's time to return them to you. I looked at Uncle Ju with gratitude. I really can't thank you enough. With Uncle Ju's help, my parents' compensation funds and property belongings were all returned to me. Uncle Ju said Theo Gu's parents were initially unwilling to hand these over, even claiming that after all these years of me eating and living with them, I should have been the one paying them. It wasn't until Uncle Ju warned them that embezzling martyr family benefits could land them in prison or even get them executed that they panicked and scrambled to borrow money to repay the compensation they owed me. For an orphaned girl like me, reclaiming these things alone would have been nearly impossible. Only with Uncle Ju's help could the matter be resolved swiftly and decisively. I'm deeply grateful to Uncle Ju and have tried multiple times to express my thanks. He refused to accept it and said that as long as I lived well, it would be enough. In the first year after the divorce, I faced a lot of gossip. Even though everyone knew it was Theo Gu's fault, they still found reasons to blame me. In the second year after the divorce, Theo Gu married Ivy Gu and even found a new job. People said I had made a fuss about the divorce only to end up benefiting Ivy Gu. The third year after the divorce, the National College Entrance Examination was fully reinstated. Through hard work, I was admitted to my dream university, leaving them behind and starting a brand new life. With memories from my past life, I used my parents' compensation money to purchase numerous plots of land and make investments, earning a fortune. The old family home was also demolished in 1990. bringing in a substantial sum of money. When the new century arrived, I was already 50. Nowadays, no one would say the divorce was my fault, and some even call me a visionary woman of the new era. Once, I accidentally witnessed a couple arguing by the roadside. They were red-faced, quarreling over a single dollar. One accuses the other of not knowing how to live, while the other accuses them of lacking the ability to earn money. It suddenly occurred to me that during the years when the college entrance exams were reinstated, there was a wave of layoffs. I heard that Theo GU and Ivy GU both lost their jobs, and without any specialized skills, they could only take on the worst and most exhausting manual labor. I turned and walked away, never glancing at them again. After all, they had long been excluded from the path of my life.